Hey guys, welcome to another review. Today I'm going to be reviewing the newest episode of Fear the Walking Dead, Season 2, Episode 11, Pablo and Jessica. And this is named after two characters that are dead in the episode, I do believe. So, I really wish they would start making interesting titles that would at least give something here. Okay, so what do I think about this episode? I'm going to say it right out, guys. I'm disappointed. Now, they had a really good episode before this, and I felt like maybe they're starting to get the idea, and then they give us this. It was just boring. It was nothing special. In fact, I wasn't even sure if I was going to be able to do this review. It was just, it was boring, and it wasn't completely horrible, and it wasn't very good at all, so I wasn't really feeling into reviewing this at all, so I had to just force myself to get up there, write down everything, and review it for you guys. So, let's talk about the boredom. To start out, let's go over the bad stuff first. The escape that Madison and Strand did, it was badly done. They just completely copped out. I would rather have not seen it than see it the way that they did it this way. And if they're going to show it as much as they did, I feel like they should have done it way more interestingly. Instead, we just get, they're surrounded, they kill a couple, they find a hole, a door that they go through, and then suddenly everything's fine, they pour blood on themselves, perfectly fine. That's, like I've said before, that's really annoying to me. They need to have more fear of the Walking Dead, because if you can just put a little bit of blood on your face like it's some sort of cologne, and then walk around zombies and you're fine, that's not a good way to have it in a Walker apocalypse, in a Walking Dead show. It's just very, very bad. The Walking Dead, they've done that like 3 times where they've covered themselves in that stuff, and it's not just a little bit of blood. We're talking guts all over them, feet hanging from their shirts and stuff. That's good. But this, it's just like, a little bit of blood, we're good. Out on the town. So that was their escape, very bland. They meet up with Alicia and all that. That was terrible. Okay. Next, Nick's trip that they did not show, I feel like that was a big waste of time. They should have shown that. That was a loss on their part. That was something that could have been interesting, whereas a lot of the Nick stuff in this episode was just talk and blandness. There were some interesting conversations that actually did mean something and did progress the story, but there were also a lot of little extra scenes added in that we could have lived without, and were just annoying. These annoying scenes piss me off a lot. Okay. And that Nick scene could have been like Breaking Bad, him doing a drug deal, sort of. That would have been interesting, but no. Nothing at all there. Okay, next bad thing is there was not enough of the new characters. The new characters seem like they have potential, and of course you guys know that I do not actually like any of these old characters. I kind of don't hate some as much as I hate others, but I don't really like them. And these new characters seem like they have potential, so the old characters can move to the side as far as I care. But instead, in this episode, it seems like these new characters are just, they're there, but they're nothing special. They don't talk to them, they don't do anything cool. It's just, here's the new characters, toss them to the side, here's our old characters up at front again. Why do we want to see that? These new characters need to be showcased. In The Walking Dead, they sort of, when they want a character to become a main character, they showcase them up front, then they put them in the background, instead of just having them in the background the whole freaking time. Okay. And then final bad thing I'm going to say is just there was too much talk. This episode had way more talk than it needed, just between Alicia and Madison, Strand and other people. There was just every Nick conversation I feel like could have been cut down at least by 2 minutes, and it would have been perfect. Okay, now let's talk about the good stuff in this episode. There's not very much, but there was some action. I can give them that. More action than probably in a lot of these Fear the Walking Dead episodes, but that's still not saying much because Fear the Walking Dead is full of boredom, and the very little bit of action that we get in the usual episode compared to this is special, but this episode compared to a good show like The Walking Dead, not much action, so I don't know. Maybe I'm just being a little too rough on it, comparing it to The Walking Dead, because that's a really great show and this is a really crap show. But by Fear the Walking Dead standards, this is about on par, which is crap. Okay, I just am I'm very disappointed. Previous episode was really good. This episode, I just hope that they continue getting good instead of going back to what they're doing, like what they seem to be doing. Okay. Another good thing is they do seem to be making some slight progress. Slight. I'm not saying they're making real progress, but by having more action in this episode than usual, that was something. That's slight progression. That is something good. And one thing you can say is this this did progress the story as well. This episode was not just some sort of little useless episode where they just travel somewhere, meet new people, those people die, and then they move on. This was an actual episode that took the situation that they're in and expanded on it a bit. So that's interesting. That's okay there. Not too bad. Okay, last good thing is I did enjoy seeing the little bit of Nick doing that drug stuff. That was interesting. Him diluting all the pills and stuff. Even though I feel like they drew it out a little too much. What they did show was okay, and it was pretty good. Everything else in this episode, is just bland and boring. So that was the bad and good stuff. Let me just go through a general of the episode. We see Maddie and Strand escape, and then it leads to them meeting up with Alicia, which, of course, waste of our time. We already knew that they did that. But then they decide to make friends with the new characters. They meet up. It's kind of awkward. It just doesn't feel like there's any tenseness there. There's no real stake in the game there. It just feels like a bunch of normal people talking under normal situations. It doesn't really feel scary or anything. Like, in The Walking Dead, when they meet up with new characters, you feel someone's gonna die. But here, there's like, here's new characters they're meeting up with. Okay, but they decide to clear the building out, and they end up being too lazy to kill every walker from every room. So they're like, I've got an idea. We'll we'll open every freaking door, have them travel out, and then just luckily, we're so smart, we timed it all perfectly so that we'll all come together and draw them onto the pier at perfect time. And then only Madison will have to risk her life. I'm not really sure how they were able to figure out how all their routes would meet at once. I guess they figured that walkers walk at this certain speed, so do that times this. Perfect, there we go. It was a little contrived, I feel. Okay, at least there should have been a mess up where one of them screwed up, right? And then they have a problem in one area, they have to shut that down, just for a little interest. Instead, okay, draw them out, they're dead, the end. That's what we end up with. They actually take back the hotel by just luring a bunch of walkers out. And then they have their celebration party. And then Strand kills Oscar's wife for him, which is supposed to be a sad scene. But again, we don't really know Oscar too well, so this doesn't mean anything to us. Oscar does seem like a likable character, but they're not showcasing him enough, so I can't really care about him yet. Okay, then let's talk about Nick's part of the story here. Nick does the dilution of the drugs. Then my cat is currently clawing my leg, so just a second. Ow. Okay. Then Alejandro explains his bite, which this was one of the interesting conversations. I'm going to say it seems to me like, from what I've gotten from this, he got it from an actual human who they mistook to be a walker. But as he explained this story, it sort of felt like he was trying to make Nick think that it was a walker that bit him. But at the same time, he was talking about a regular person that they thought was a walker because he was on drugs, and then he ends up bitten and doesn't turn. Obviously, he was bitten by that regular person who was just screwed up, right? Okay, so that was kind of interesting to me, and then there's sort of clues in there so you can speculate what you want. That was interesting. Okay. And then you find out after a long amount of just them hanging out, Nick playing with kids and stuff. I really don't like Nick hanging around kids, but they love to showcase it because they think he's such a special guy. See how wonderful he is around children? Yeah, he's about as wonderful as that creepy uncle that loves to hang around all the kids instead of with the adults. That's real wonderful, yeah. Okay, and then we find out Lucy's brother's dead, and of course Nick ends up comforting her, and then at the end of the episode, they kiss and everything's lovely. I told you guys that there would be a relationship there. I don't know if anyone doubted me though. So Tell me what you guys thought about this episode. My ranking for this episode, I'm going to give it a 4.5 out of 10. 4.5 out of 10. Why not? That's me being nice. I was thinking 5 out of 10, but that just seems really too nice. 4.5 is good. So tell me what you guys thought. Tell me what you think of the review. Make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.